time. If y'all new to the channel, make sure y'all like, share, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to all the positive feedback. Shout out to all the negative feedback. We just sharing story time with y'all. And I named the title of this video, How I Overcame Some of the Hardest Obstacles in My Life. Hardest, like now, when I have obstacles, it's easy to overcome more because when I first was going through my hard obstacles, I didn't know what was going on. But I was willing to change, and it's all about change, right? So when I first started my journey, like I always tell y'all, I had to figure it all out on my own. I ain't have nobody cheering for me. I ain't have nobody clapping for me. But I just knew I wanted change in my life, right? And that's where it starts. If you could change your mindset, you could change your life, right? And I'm gonna share these stories with y'all because a lot of people don't personally know me. They just know me from working out. But I don't mind sharing these stories. I'm not ashamed of it, and it's built me into the man who I am today. So I'm very fortunate that I went through all these obstacles in life. And like I say, if y'all new to the channel, make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm just sharing these stories with you. But this was like when I first started. Actually, I'm gonna start with how I started my journey, right? So first off, I told y'all that I used to get in trouble. I used to, not no more. I stay out the way. You know, I just go to work and work out and mind my own business, right? So make a long story short, now I just impact people. I'm all on the positive feedback, all that stuff, type of stuff. I'm all with the positivity, man. I'm not the same person I used to be. I always been a great person, but I just made some bad decisions in my life, right? And we all done been there. I hung around people who didn't care about me, who I thought cared about me, but until I went to jail and lost everything, that's when I realized, man, hey, these people ain't riding for me like I'm a ride for myself, right? So I'm gonna just show y'all a couple of pictures of myself, like how I used to look and stuff, because I think some people need to hear this story. So this was 16 years ago when I finally decided to make a change in my life. And when I first went to jail, I was just trying to be slick and thought I could finesse the system and thought I wasn't going to get caught, right? But that wasn't the case. God had a different plan for me. He didn't want me to do what I used to do. Well, make a long story short, I got out, tried to switch up the plan. I'm like, man, first time I went to jail was a kind of slap on the wrist, right? And I was like, man, I'm going to switch this up. I ain't going to get caught. I ain't going to jail again. Well, it didn't work out like that. So make a long story short, before I went to jail on the second time, my mother came and told me that I was going to go to jail. And I didn't believe her. I thought she was crazy. My mom was like, you going to jail? I was like, yeah, right, you crazy. She's like, I'm just telling you, God told me to warn you that you going to jail. Well, make a long story short, the second time I went to jail, I almost lost my life. And by the grace of God, that my mother came and told me that, because if I would have kept doing what I was doing, I would not be here right now. And that's 100% fact. And I'm so thankful that I decided to make change in my life, right? What's up? He said, are you in what? I don't understand that. But yeah, anyways, back to the story. If I ain't decided to make that change in my life, I wouldn't be who the person I am today. It's either one or two ways that it would have went. I would have been locked up or dead in jail for the rest of my life, and that was something that I knew that was coming to an end. And make a long story short, when I was at my lowest point in life, I was staying at my friend grandma's house, and I really didn't have no sense of direction. I didn't have no purpose. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And this lady used to come over there, and she asked me one day, I tell this story all the time. It's a great story. She said, subscribe to your channel. I appreciate that, bro. What is the topic? This topic is about how I changed my life and how I became the person who I am today, right? It all starts with mindset. You got to change your mind. If you could change your mind, you could convince yourself that you want better, you're going to do better. So this story time, I'm just sharing my story. I'm gonna go over it a little bit for y'all new people coming in chat. I'm going over my story and who I used to be back in the days. Y'all see me lifting all the heavy weight, doing all the crazy stuff, push-ups, weighted push-ups, pull-ups. But my struggles is what made me who I am today. The hard times is made me who I am today, and I'm very fortunate and thankful that overcame those obstacles in life. Because if I would have never faced those obstacles, like I said to y'all, I would have been dead in jail. Simple as that. Simple as that. They was already offering me 5 years of my life for jail. So, make a long story short, hold on. I just want to show y'all these pictures real quick if I could pull them up. I'm just show y'all some pictures of me, how I used to look. And I show people this stuff. They be like, no way, that's you. I'm like, yeah, that's me. I was 145 pounds before I got to this size. I'm 175 pounds right now, all natural training. But make a long story short, I'm gonna get back to the topic real quick. I'm just trying to pull these pictures up real quick. And I was staying at my friend grandma's house, and I still was doing my little dirt things I wasn't supposed to be doing. Well, anyways, make a long story short, this lady used to come to my friend grandma's house, and sometimes people could see things in you that you don't see in yourself, right? And she said to me, she kept it straight honest with me. She kept it real as possible with me. She said, "What you doing with your life?" I was like 25 years old, somewhere around that age, and at that point, I ain't have no sense of direction. I ain't even know what I was doing with my life. I'm staying at my friend grandma's house. It's like seven to eight of us. If you don't get a couch, you gotta sleep on the floor. His grandma going to work every day while we doing nothing. So I started to clean up his grandma's house. I like, man, let me help this lady. This lady going to work every day. She got nothing but grown men staying here. Nobody don't want to work. Nobody don't want to do nothing. Grandma doing everything, right? So I started off with helping her clean up. So when she at least go to work, she working all night. She come home. The last thing you want to come to is a dirty house. You know, especially if you got grown people living there. But make a long story short, the lady, back to the story with the lady, she said, "What you doing with your life?" And at that point, I really didn't know what I was doing. I ain't know what I was doing. I ain't know what I wanted to do. I ain't know which way to go. I ain't know nothing. And she said, "Oh, let me show y'all. This used to be me. Look. Y'all can see that? That's used to be me. That's my first time going to jail right there. First time. I changed my whole life around. And it all starts in your mind. I'm not making this up. Y'all can see that? That used to be me. First time going to jail. Right there. None of this stuff is made up. This is real life stories. So anyways, make a long story short, she said to me, back to the story. These some good stories that I'm sharing with y'all, man. He said, "Damn, so you got eczema?" Oh, around that time I wasn't taking care of myself, man. I didn't care about myself how I take care of myself now. I just was be honest with you, I was lost in the sauce. I was making money, I was taking care of myself. I was young, right? And make a long story short, but I wasn't physically, mentally, or spiritually taking care of myself. I was just doing whatever I needed to do to make it through with life, you know. My mother and my father got divorced, and it kind of separated us in life, and it happens. But one thing I learned along my journey, you can't play the victim role, because if you play the victim role in life, you lost. You can't play the victim role. And the reason I say that, because I know this through experience. Anytime you start playing the victim role in life, you lost. You're going to be stuck in that same rut, because you feel like the world owe you something, or you feel like somebody owe you something, or you feel like, oh, my mom or my dad wasn't there for me. That's not true. You got to be the one that hold yourself accountable, right? And that's what I learned to do along my journey. And it take time to get to where I'm at. That's why I tell y'all all the time, it take time. It's not going to happen overnight. It could take you, I'm from Florida. It could take you 2-3 years to start seeing results. But like I always tell y'all, if you make up your mind, you change your mindset, and you start moving and be willing to learn and grow, your whole life will change before your eyes. But this what really helped me when I went to jail a second time. Like I say, I really didn't know what I was doing with my life, and the correctional officer said to me, he was like, They called my name, Mr. Hobson, roll it up. I was like, what they calling my name for? I was in there for 3 months. He said, you going home. I said, for real? I said, hey, y'all can have all this stuff, right? And the correctional officer said to me, he was like, hey, man. He was like, you'll be back. And I said, no, I won't. He was like, yeah, you will. You'll be back. I said, no, I won't. And I made up, right there from there, I made my mind up. But make a long story short, I'm going to get back to the story with the lady who seen something in me that I didn't see in myself. She was like, if you don't change your life, she was like, you're going to be 60, 70 years old living how these people live. She was like, you see those guys standing on the corner? And at that point in time, I ain't think nothing of it. I just thought they was just hanging out on the corner. She was like, you keep on up. She was like, 60, 70 years old, you're going to be just like them. And the reality hit me. After that day she left, I'm sitting in the room. I'm like, damn, I'm 30, I'm 25 years old. I'm staying at my friend grandma's house. I ain't doing nothing with myself. I don't have nothing. And if I don't change my life, I'm going to be continuing the same situation. So the reality hit me. It was like, myself was like, you got to do something with your life. And I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out, right? So make a long story short, this is how I got into fitness right here. This is, I'm breaking it down from A to Z, how I started training. So, like I say, I didn't have no sense of direction or which way I wanted to go. But I knew I needed a change in my life, right? And make a long story short, what's up, Chris? What's happening, partner? That's my buddy Albanian Chris. So make a long story short, I started with walking. And I would walk around the park every single day. I didn't know what I was doing. I just said, I don't care what I go through. I'm not going back to jail. And I'm not going to be the same person who I used to be. What's up, Chris? My back. Albanian Chris, man, my Albanian homeboy used to work out with us. He said, my back. But make a long story short, I started walking around the park, and I'm telling y'all this stuff because I remember all this stuff vividly. And like I say, I didn't have no place to stay. I didn't have no mama and daddy helping me. I didn't have no uncle. Hey, you all right, nephew? You need some help? I didn't have nobody. All I had was myself. Well, make a long story short, I started walking around the park, and there was pull-up bars out there. And I used to just look at them because I wasn't able to do pull-ups. What can I do to fix my back? Your back still messed up, Chris? Come on, man. You got to use a reverse hyper. A reverse hyper. I don't know if you know what a reverse hyper is, but that's what you need to use. But anyways, back to the story. I seen a pull-up bar. I wasn't able to do pull-ups. So I started off with just walking. And then, for some strange reason, I started off with push-ups. And I would walk around this park every day to start my journey. I ain't have no clue what I was doing. I just knew I was going to do it. So I started off with like incline push-ups, doing my push-ups from here. Off the table. I was weak as hell. I ain't have no strength. That's what I'm telling y'all. Like, it's trial and error through everything we go through. You just got to be willing to learn from it. So make a long story short. What's up, Chris? How you doing, man? I'm telling you, you got to use a reverse hyper, Chris. You got to use a reverse hyper. There ain't too many gyms that have it. I know Amp Fitness on East Bay got it, though. That reverse hyper. Go to YouTube and look up reverse hyper, Chris. It'll definitely help you with your back pain. You got to use it every day. Go to YouTube and type this in, and you'll see what machine it is. Most gyms don't have it. It's called a reverse hyper. But anyways, make a long story short, back to the story. So, like I say, I ain't want to be the person who I used to be. So I would walk around the park I ain't even know nothing about dieting. I ain't know nothing about health. I ain't know nothing. All I knew was just the start. That's the only thing I knew, right? And he say, so I chose to get out of my community, right? In my community, it's a lot of drug selling. They done cleaned it up a lot. It's a lot of drug selling. And not to throw stones at those guys, because I used to be there, running the streets, doing stuff I wasn't supposed to. And that's all they see and know, right? But make a long story short, I was like, man, it got to be more than life than just this same environment. And I was like, man, I got to get out of this neighborhood. So make a long story short, I rode my bike to the beach. And I had the most raggediest beach. And I got people who could vouch for this. my bike was so raggedy I didn't have no brakes on it. I used to have to put my foot on the ground to stop my bike. That's how bad my bike was, right? So I left my community and I met this guy. Oh, actually, I was still working out a little bit. Yeah, I was still working out a little bit. So I back to the because I skipped over a story. So I was doing push up, pull ups. No, I wasn't doing pull ups yet. I was doing push ups and squats. That's how I started. And then I continued to start with the calisthenics, and then eventually I kept walking around that park. And then I started doing pull ups, and it take time. That's why I always tell y'all, everybody want instant gratification. We want it to happen now. No, it's not gonna work like that. It's pain, sacrifice. It sucks. I don't feel like going, but you go anyways. I don't feel like working out, but you work out anyways. And I kept doing that, right? And I started doing pull ups. I started doing dips. And then my dad had some weights in the back of the yard, and I told him this was before I started weightlifting. He had a bench press and some weights in the backyard, and I was like, "Hey man, what you doing with those weights?" He was like, "Nothing. You could use." That's how I got a lot of my rusted weights. People gave them to me. Y'all see my rusted weights, and y'all be like, "Man, where you get those plates from?" A lot of people gave them to me. So, anyways, back to the story. I left my community, right? I was like, I gotta get out of my neighborhood. It's nothing here. Nobody doing nothing. Everybody trying to hustle. Everybody trying to make money. Everybody doing the same thing. Nobody eats healthy. Nobody goes anywhere. Out of town to them is like 20 minutes down the street. So I rode my bike to the beach and I seen this guy at the beach. And I get to the beach. I don't know nobody out there. I'm out there on a humbug. I'm out there by myself. I'm walking around. I'm like, man, I don't know nobody. I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I get out there and I walk up to the bridge. And I see this dude sitting up on the bridge. Oh, yeah, for sure, man. Hey, what's up, Tim? I don't mind sharing it because it made me who I am today. And I'm very fortunate that I'm still overcoming obstacles, but I'm very fortunate that all this stuff happened to me. Because like I said, it made me to the person who I am today. And people always wonder, how the hell are you so strong? I use my pain as strength. My pain made me into a whole different person. Like, I didn't know what I was going through. I just know it was for the better. And make a long story short, I get to the bridge. I see a dude sitting up on the bridge. And I'm like, hey, man, you got some cool tattoos. And we chop it off. Yeah, hey, Chris, use that. Make sure you use that. That'll help you with your back. So I say, hey, man, you got some cool tattoos. And he like, what's that? And I was like, man, you got some cool tattoos. And we started. This was the beginning of my journey. And he was like, yeah, man, such and such, blah, blah, blah. He was like, where'd you ride your bike from? And I was like, man, I rode it all the way from Largo. He was like, that far? I said, yeah. I said, I wanted to get out of my neighborhood. And this dude changed my life for the better, man, because sometimes you meet people who got information that you searching for, but you have to be willing to seek it. If you understand, a lot of people ain't gonna understand what I'm saying, but you have to be willing to seek it. It's on a whole nother level mentally. But like I say, I didn't know anything about dieting, and he was a vegan, right? And then he started telling me about diet. He like, what you eat? I'm like, man, I eat peanuts, salted peanuts, roasted peanuts. I eat hot dogs. I eat chips. He was like, how are you going to get in shape eating that stuff? I'm like, ain't this stuff good for you? He like, no. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to eat? He was like, you don't know anything about dieting? I'm like, no. He like, well, let me teach you. And this is how I started learning all this stuff through trial and error and just talking to people. You gotta learn how to be inquisitive. You gotta ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And that's with anything you do in life, man. Do not be afraid to ask questions, because a lot of people be afraid to ask questions because they're more concerned about what a person gonna think. Ask questions. If you don't know, even for myself, if I don't have the answers for it, and they say something I don't know, I say, hey, what that mean? Don't be afraid to ask questions. So, anyways, he started teaching me about dieting, and this is how I learned a lot of this stuff, because he was vegan. He didn't eat no meat. He was eating nothing but vegetables and quinoa and stuff like this. And anyways, I started doing my research. I didn't even know what an avocado was at that time. I remember the first time I bought an avocado, I thought it was an apple. I tried to bite into it like an apple. I was like, man, what the hell is this? Hey, shout out to Tim Effect too, man. He in the building, 72 years old. This man working out, man. This man all the time where I work with you, the next day my back pain. Chris, your back been messed up for years, man. You gotta take care of that, Chris. You definitely gotta take care of that, Chris. You gonna be, hey, a couple more years, your back be messed up. You gotta start stretching, brother. You definitely gotta start stretching, especially your lower back, man. Your lower back ain't no joke. But anyways, back to the story. So I had at that time, after that situation, and this guy that I met, he traveled. This how I started traveling too. I'm telling y'all the whole story. I didn't used to think about traveling at all. I was just stuck in my environment. I never traveled a day in my life. I never even been on a plane. And he traveled 30 countries and 50 states, and he just started telling me about the world and stuff. And I'm like, man, how you know all this stuff? He was like, cuz I traveled the world. And he started sharing information with me that a lot of people won't share with you. But obviously he cared about me because he knew something was out there for me, right? And after that, I had got into weightlifting, and I never really had anybody tell me that, man. I say ideal, and I say, man, I'm finna go do this. Let's say prime example. I'm gonna go work out. I used to tell my friends, man, I'm gonna go work out. I'm gonna get in shape. I'm gonna start eating healthy. I'm gonna tell y'all what they used to say to me, and this is why I say, like, I don't care what people think. I've been way past that stage, and it's hard for a lot of people to overcome that because a lot of times people have a big influence over your life because we care what they think. And I'm not saying that you can't listen to them or take their advice or opinion, but I had got to a point where I stopped caring what people think. I was already broke. I was homeless. I already had no place to stay, so I just stopped caring. I was like, I don't care, man. I don't even care no more. Because a lot of times we could try to live up to other people's standards, and in reality, you don't end up happy. You be miserable because you trying to please somebody else. So I started getting into weightlifting. That's when I started getting into weightlifting, and this is how I actually got into powerlifting. And I would go to the gym, and this guy used to come to the gym. He used to see me lift and stuff. A lot of the people that used to go there used to think I was ego lifting. They like, this dude is a straight ego lifter. Nah, man, that's just how I work out. And this dude came up to me one day, and he was like, hey, man, he was like, you strong as hell, man. You should do powerlifting. At that time, I didn't know what powerlifting was. But make a long story short, he was like, hey, you strong. You should do powerlifting. And I'm just telling y'all a story from A to Z. I'm going to break it down all at one time. Not tonight, today, but I'll share it a little bit at a time. And make a long story short, I didn't know how to lift. I just was always naturally strong, so I was benching 315. And these people in the gym used to be like, this dude benching 3. I was 165 pounds. When I first started my journey, I was 145 pounds. And like I say, I showed y'all a photo. I used to have dreads. But I made that decision. I forgot to put that in. I cut my hair off. I told my buddy, I said, man, take me to the barbershop. I'm finna cut my hair. He was like, you ain't cutting your hair. I said, watch this. I am. He's like, yo, you ain't gonna cut your hair. I got in that chair. The dude was like, you sure you want to cut your hair? I said, yeah, man, cut it off. And that's what helped me started my change too, my transformation. It all starts with a little bit at a time. And you don't have to do a lot every day. As long as you're doing a little bit, and your life will get better day by day. It's just a little bit. It's a little bit at a time. That's all you got to do is a little bit at a time. You don't have to accomplish something and you know what I mean? It's just a little bit. I'm telling y'all because I know this. It's a little bit at a time. The more you keep doing it, the more you keep plucking away, the more you're going to start to grow. The more you're going to start to evolve. The more life going to start coming better because one thing I know through my experiences, if I wouldn't have ever changed, I would have been effed up in the same situations that I used to be, and I wouldn't be who the person I am today. And I truly believe that God had something destined for me that was much more than just bigger than myself. It was way bigger than me. I couldn't understand it. I didn't know why I was going through all this stuff. I'm like, damn, this shit hard. But I didn't give up. The key to it is you can't give up. I don't care what you go. You gotta build a bulletproof mindset. If you could build a bulletproof mindset and you can make up in your mind that I don't care what I'm going through, I'm gonna get through it, you will overcome it. And it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be painful, it's gonna suck, people gonna leave you. Everybody not gonna work out with you. Everybody not gonna be by your side, right? But that's the beautiful thing about life. It's like when a rocket take off, the boosters come off, the things from the rocket come off. Same thing with people. Everybody not meant to be in your life for the rest of your life. It's just a part of life. But make a long story short, I got into weightlifting and the guy asked me if I wanted to do powerlifting. Sorry if I'm getting off topic a little bit. And he actually paid for me to go to my powerlifting meet. This dude said, man, I paid for you to go to your powerlifting meet. At that point, I ain't never had nobody pay for nothing for me. I've been struggling on my own. I always had to make a way for myself. I didn't have my uncle saying, hey, he go $100. I want to help you get on your feet. Hey, he go $200. I want to help you get a car. I never had that. But I learned to become my own best friend, man. And I learned to hold myself accountable, and I learned how to pick myself up. It's hard to beat somebody who won't quit. It's hard. A person who show up every day, they hard to beat. They hard to beat. And like I say, I got into powerlifting, and he was like, man, he was like, you strong as hell. I should get you in. You should do powerlifting. And I was like, for real? He was like, you don't know what powerlifting is? I'm like, no, I never heard of it. He's like, you perform on a platform. And at that time, I was so used to people lying to me, like everybody being lying to me. So I'm like, I don't know if I trust this dude. He just probably talking. He ain't gonna pay for me. But he actually paid for me to go. And I went in there Iron Man with no gear. And I'm finna pull these numbers up for y'all so y'all can actually see. This was my first powerlifting meet. I'm not making none of this stuff up. I could tell y'all my exact numbers, what I did, my first powerlifting meet. Iron Man. No equipment, no squat, no belt, no knee wraps, because at that time I ain't know nothing about that. No sleeve wraps, no wrist wraps. And when I did my first powerlifting meet, these people looking at me like, who the hell is this dude? I did I'm finna tell y'all my numbers. First powerlifting meet. First powerlifting meet ever. I actually broke some records too. I should get back into it, but I don't think I am, man. I really ain't into it like I used to be. I used to be into it a lot, but I'm gonna share these numbers with y'all. So my first powerlifting meet, I was 165 pounds. I squatted 405. I benched 330, and I deadlifted 550. Let me show y'all this. This got all my numbers on my powerlifting meet. I don't know if y'all can see it, but all these is my powerlifting meets that I did. My second powerlifting meet was 455 squat. I did a 340 bench and a 560 deadlifts. But anyways, make a long story short, I did that first powerlifting meet. And like I say, I went in there straight Ironman in Tampa, Florida. And I didn't use no gear. And my first lift was, my first squat was 405 pounds with no belt. I ain't had no belt on. I squatted 405. These people were looking at me like, who the hell is this dude? My first squat, 405. I hit 405 like this with no belt on. Imagine going to a competition. These people got belts, knee wraps, sleeves, all types of stuff. I went in there and just went like this. Dude, them people was like, what the hell is this dude on? So I did that 405. That's how I met my powerlifting coach. And then I did my bench press, which I didn't know how to bench press because, like I tell y'all all the time, man, I always tell y'all, master your push-ups first before you try to get onto the bench press, because a lot of times people be trying to get on the bench press and they end up injuring their shoulders because they don't know how to do the proper bench. And most people they bench here. This is all shoulders. Same with push-ups. If you do your push-ups and shoulders, push-ups like this, shoulders, you're gonna get a torn shoulder, and that shoulder is no joke, man. That take forever to recover. But when you bench pressing or you doing your push-ups, what I do, I always bring my arms under. So you want to be here. You want to be here. Same with push-ups. You want to do your push-ups here, not here. This is more shoulders. This is less shoulders. More triceps, less shoulders. And that's how you prevent a shoulder injury. So you just That's why I tell y'all, master your push-ups first. Master push-ups before you get on that bench press. And once you get that technique down, you'll save your shoulders a lot, man. You definitely save your shoulders a lot. But what I did at that, so it's squat, bench, deadlift, and then powerlifting meet. I did bench press. No, yeah, I did bench press next. And like I said, my bench press was a total of 330, and that was my first powerlifting meet with no coach. That's pretty good. 330 with no coach, nobody teaching you how to bench press. That's hella good at 165. The average person barely could bench press 315. Yet alone, I was 165 pounds. First powerlifting meet ever. I did a total of what my total was. My total was 1,285. That's an elite athlete. All these lifts is like 3 times my body weight. But make a long story short, and then I did deadlift. When I did my 550 deadlift, they was really shocked. I think I tried to do five. I think I tried for 585 after that. But I was competing against another guy, and he actually had gear on, and I was sticking neck and neck with him. I can't remember his name, but let me see if I could pull his name up, because we was competing against each other. It was a good battle, man. He was like, bro, you strong as hell. Let me see if I could pull his name up. I can't remember his name. Let me see. I forget the dude's name. He had a coach though. I didn't have a coach. Like I said, he had a coach. I didn't have a coach. He had somebody teaching him. I ain't have nobody teaching me how to work out. Nothing. Like, but I still stuck with him. I can't find it right now. But that's just a little background on myself, so y'all could get to know me as most people just think I just work out. Nah, man, I went through it. I suffered. It sucked, but I was willing to change it. It's good. Change is good, man. Change is good. So I'm gonna get up out of here. Shout out to Tim Effect if you still in here. Hey, I just gave y'all a little background on myself, and I'm gonna work out tomorrow. I wasn't gonna work out tomorrow, but I'm gonna do some squats. I haven't squatted in a while, so I'm gonna actually do some weighted squats tomorrow. I'm gonna do some weighted squats tomorrow. I'm gonna probably try to go heavy and see what I could do. But if anything, I'd probably go to 315. I usually do squats, but I haven't done no squats in about 2 weeks. He said, "What's the weather for Cincinnati, Ohio?" I don't know. But I'm out of here. Make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace and love. Have a great day. Shout out to Tim, man. I gotta go, Tim.